Hi, I'm Gene Marrano. Our guests on the interview today include the man overseeing the $30 million renovation of Center in the Square and a community activist helping to create neighborhood gardens where local residents can grow their own food. Two quality of life initiatives on very different scales. Our guests are Jim Sears and Mark Powell. Since 1993, Dr. James Sears has been the one fixture at Center in the Square as president and general manager, overseeing the arts and cultural center that helped transform downtown Roanoke, which at one time had a rather dubious reputation. Sears is a University of Virginia graduate where he received a doctorate in education after earning a bachelor's degree in science from Roanoke College and an associate's degree at Virginia Tech before that. At Center in the Square, Sears oversees all aspects of management and planning for the facility, which houses a number of museums, art galleries, and Mill Mountain Theater. He also acts as Center's very visible ambassador, collaborating with business, civic, government, and community leaders. Now, Jim Sears and his staff are ready to embark on a very ambitious project, a complete makeover of Center in the Square, after raising almost $30 million through donations and tax credits. A remodeling designed to make sure that the complex at Market Street and Campbell Avenue remains a cultural hub for the Roanoke Valley. Jim Sears, welcome to the interview.
Well, thank you.
You were an educator and a college administrator before coming to Center in the Square. Talk about that. Was that going to be your life's work before things changed?
Yeah, I kind of figured it was. I spent about 25 years in the community college system in Virginia and worked across the Commonwealth. And in fact, started here at Roanoke Tech before it was community college. And in 1966, Roanoke Tech became the Virginia Western Community College.
I didn't even know that.
So, yeah, Roanoke Tech was an extension of Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So then about 25 years later, I decided that I'd occupied all the chairs in the community college system except the Richmond ones, which would be chancellor or vice chancellor. And I'd served a little time up there on a volunteer effort and decided that really wasn't where I wanted to live. And so I stepped out of that role of presidency of a college and took a year off to travel, and then came back to Roanoke, which is my hometown, and just kind of walked into the Center in the Square situation. And of course, Center in the Square had been built during my time away from Roanoke, because I left here in '72, and Center in the Square was open in '83. So I missed the construction area. I missed, to a great extent, the decline of the market area,
right.
Even though in the '60s the market area was declining, but certainly more so in the '70s. So I missed that.
It was Roanoke back in the 30s and 40s, downtown shopping,
oh, great.
Trolley cars, whatever, theaters was kind of the cat's pajamas back then.
Yeah, you don't even have to go back that far. You know, you can go back to the '60s, because we still had the American Theater and Jefferson Theater. And you know, when I was dating in the '60s, that's where I'd take my dates. And
right.
in fact, I heard about my first son when I was at either Jefferson or American, I can't remember which one,
right.
but Dr. Pierce, who's still here in Roanoke, and I don't think he's practicing, made a phone call about 8 o'clock at night, said, yes, you know, you're going to be a father.
Right.
So yeah, you know, back in the '60s, we still had a thriving downtown in some ways, but you know, what happened down there is that it deteriorated, and even people who were working downtown would not go into the Market Square to a great extent. And that was because retail moved out of downtown Roanoke. They went to the shopping centers, and that's what was taking place in the nation, is once you take your utilities and move those out of your core city, move those out, then shopping centers were set up, and it happened in Roanoke, and retail moved out because all the shoppers wanted to go to the most recent thing, which would have been a mall. Well, when that occurred, then of course different kind of traffic overtook the market, and
right.
that was part of why Center in the Square was put in place, was to help turn downtown around.
It's interesting for a lot of us who were not here back then, or people that are too young to remember, Roanoke, downtown Roanoke, such a vibrant, happening, lively place now, that it really was quite seedy for a while, and a lot of people in the suburbs would not go downtown.
They would not go downtown. And it was seedy in the Market Square area and a couple blocks in different directions. And now about 7, 8 years ago, the downtown area, or the Market Square area, was named one of the top 63 public places in the nation. Senator Square has received a number of awards for what it has done, but back in 79 and 80, when Senator Square was planned, it was told to us by a consultant, and I wasn't here then, but I'm going to relate the story, that if you put a cultural center in the midst of your worst area, that it will revive that area. And that's what's happened. Center has helped revive the market area, and businesses have grown. And Hotel Roanoke has come out of a public-private partnership, as well as a higher ed center and the Jefferson Center, and all those. Most of the development downtown has been around that original concept that we used to develop Center.
The Center was an old warehouse at one point?
It was a farm implement building, and then from that point on, it was a appliance store, a grocery store, and I don't know what else, other things.
It's interesting that I didn't even know this, so I read your resume, that you originally came back to Center in the Square as the executive director for the Science Museum of Western Virginia, which kind of went with your educational background.
Yeah, I was not trained in the arts. It was in engineering and science. So having the administrative experience of a dean, provost, college president, those kind of things, it was a good match.
Right.
I always say that I used the same skills as director of a science museum or as president of Senator Square, except I don't have 1,000 or 2,000 faculty to deal with every day. I love faculty, by the way.
and really, with Jim, with Center in the Square, there is an educational aspect to Center. I mean, there's thousands of school kids that come through every year, you know, parents with their kids. So there is, you're still in the educational game to some extent.
Well, I am. And you know, when I walked into Senator Square the first day, I looked around and I thought, what is this? I would like to be involved. Because what I walked into was a group of kids, and there must have been 200, 250 kids in the atrium of Center waiting to go to the Science Museum. And certainly, when I talk about Senator Square, it is an educational institution, and it is an economic stimulator, and it's a quality of life enhancer. So those three things put together is what Senator Square is. And we serve in the school, out of the school systems, we served last year about 150 or 170,000 children who were on school contracts to come into the center. That doesn't count the number of kids that come with their families on weekends or during the weekdays. So it absolutely is an educational institution. Now, Senator Square, the Senator Square organization doesn't provide the programming. The museums provide the programming, and the theater provide the programming. Okay.
And we'll get into the makeover in the second half of the show, but just quickly, the Science Museum is moving to Tanglewood Mall during the renovations. Talk about why that was, it's important to keep the Science Museum open during this whole process.
Well, it's important to keep all of these organizations open because while there will be scaled down in terms of square footage and programming, it's good to keep the connection with the public, whether it's the History Museum, the Science Museum, or the theater, or the Harrison Museum. You know, we want to maintain that connection with the public. You don't want to completely go away and go off the map.
So all the museums are going to different spots somewhere?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so in some way they'll all stay open.
Yes.
Okay. And all this information they can find at the website?
They can.
Okay.
For example, Harrison Museum, you know, basically it's their administrative offices that are in Center. They have a small exhibit.
Right.
They'll continue to do that, but they will stay at that downtown location, but in the Center on Church Building.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Our guest is Dr. Jim Sears from Center in the Square. This is The Interview. We'll be right back.